What's going on, guys? Today we've got a very exciting podcast guest. We've got Khadija from Palmsy Properties. Now, you guys know, if you watch my channel, I only get authentic, real people on this channel. Khadija's really doing it. She's got 11 rent-to-rents and she's scaling up the business. Today we're going to ask her all the questions, the good, the bad, the ugly, and this is going to be the most authentic rent-to-rent podcast you've ever watched. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome to another LN Capital podcast. Today we're here with Khadija from Palmsy Properties, and today we're going to ask Khadija all about her journey, how she got started in rent-to-rent. She's actually got 11 rent-to-rent deals, so she's been smashing it in the rent-to-rent field. So if you're in rent-to-rent, then this is the podcast for you. So Khadija, how many deals have you got and whereabouts are they located?
So we have 11 deals. We've got 2 in Portsmouth, 3 in Birmingham, and the rest of them are in Leeds.
Okay.
We do have 2 of them on a long-term tenancy, just because of several reasons.
Yeah, okay, cool. So how long have you been doing rent-to-rent for?
About a year and a half.
Okay. And what was it that got you started? What was your reason to go into that?
So a couple of years ago, I worked for a channel manager, which is a system that a lot of service accommodation companies will use to advertise their property via all the online travel agencies like Airbnb, Booking.com, and the direct bookings. And through working from there, I gained insight on how to operate an SA, how much you can make from SA, and just had knowledge building. And I worked with landlords and worked quite closely with a couple of them in Leeds, one mainly, who kind of gave me the foundations to start my own up.
Okay, cool. So you know the channel manager, what did you have to do within that company? Was it organizing technical issues? What was you doing?
So my role was an onboarding specialist. So sales will sell the deal to the clients, and then they come to us, and then we'll deal with either the property manager or hotel owner, whoever it is, and we'll train them to use the system. So this is our software, this is how you get your information online, this is how we make your listings, and this is how you manage your online booking system. So I was the point of call to get them activated and get them launched on our product.
Yeah, great. So you know the deals that you've got, do you are they all rent to SA? So they're rent to service accommodation, so Booking.com, Airbnb, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or do you do rent to HMO, or what's your strategy?
No, it's all rent to SA. Rent to HMO is not something we've explored. We're quite happy to do an SA for now, maybe in the future.
Okay, great. And you know the deals you've got now, how are they going? Are they all doing well? Are some of them not doing so well?
Yeah, some of them are kind of a little bit surprising, the ones that are doing well against the others. Some are doing better than the others, and it's all really kind of seasonal. So you get your quiet times in January, February, March, and then you get pick up during summer, and then it gets a bit more busier towards Christmas. So it's ups and downs. So you really have to make sure that you're constantly maintaining your properties at a certain standard, so they're not dropping and your reviews don't go down and your bookings go down. So
yeah, I feel like it's so hit or miss, isn't it, with SA?
Yeah, no, definitely. It can be that you get a property that you think is going to do really well because it has X, Y, and Z. It's right near the shopping centre. It's got parking, or it's got a balcony, and then you have a period of time without a booking, and you're like, why?
What's
it's got
going on?
everything. Yeah. So sometimes you can be quite surprised, and also it's just about the demand in the area. So we have 2 properties in Birmingham which are very central. They're very modern. They've got parking, balcony. They've got all the amenities that you would look for. But because of the sheer competition, I feel there's a lot of choice, which makes it more harder to get a booking. So you have to drop your price down. So there are lots of things you have to consider as well.
Yeah, because I run this mastermind group called High Performance Academy.
Yeah.
And there's this lady in there. She's got an SA. It's a rent to. Actually, she owns it, and it's an apartment. It's a 2-bed apartment in Birmingham city centre, and it's just not getting bookings.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What's going on?" I've looked at the listing. I've had other people look at it that are got way more experience in service accommodation.
Yeah.
And we can't find what it is, but it's just not taking off.
Yeah.
So one of my friends said, take it down, relist it, and then that will put you on the top.
Yeah.
But she's going to lose her review. She's got 1 review. What would you say in a situation like that? What would be your recommendation?
I definitely think when you do take it down, you put it back up, they do put you at the top of the listing because obviously you're new, and they naturally put you at the top and give you the attention because they want you to be encouraged to use them. So I understand her pain, but sometimes it's just about working out, okay, what can we improve, or what can, putting on promotions, but also looking at your photos. Photos are everything. So if you've got photos that aren't professional or photos that don't highlight the best bits of your property within like a couple seconds that are like the first couple main images, that's definitely going to bring down sort of your amount of people that are going to click on your listing compared to others.
Yeah, I'm with you. So would you say that you working for this channel manager, has it helped you to kind of run your service accommodation business now?
Yeah.
Or not really? What do you think?
100%. Everything I've used there, I've used practically within the field, but also it's about networking. So the landlords and the people that I work closely with while working there, one main one that's got massive portfolio of leads, I'm still in contact with. And when stuff goes wrong or something happens, like it's really easy to pick up the phone or get his advice to be like, what do you think about this deal? I've messaged him many times about deals. I've been like, do you think this is good, bad? He's like, no, way off market, I wouldn't take it. And it sort of is that little like voice in your head, that sort of like reasoning, because he's been through it all and he's had his ups and downs. So I think you need to make friends in this industry, and it's not a competition to make friends with people that also run an SA. If anything, it will help you. Like the other day, I had a conversation with someone about cleaning, and he has his own essays, but he actually said like, oh, he's looking for cleaners. And I said, potentially would like to start our own cleaning operations up because we're having issues. We've thought about maybe starting our own cleaning sort of business, or facilitating our own cleaning and then potentially others. And he was like, well, hit me up when you potentially are open, because I need cleaners. And if I didn't network with him, like it wouldn't open up opportunities. So
So how important is networking, and are you quite big on like networking? And
no. So I wish I did a lot more. And me and my business partner say this all the time, that we should do a lot more and we need to do a lot more and get more involved. But there's so many times where I'm like, oh, and it sounds really bad, but I'm like, I can't be bothered to go to events. And it sounds horrible, but it's just it's not just I can't be bothered, but it's more so everything that comes with it. Like, you've got to be confident, put yourself out there, speak to people, go there by yourself, like speak to all these people that you don't know. And hopefully there'll be people that warm to you and like are also in the same position, because it's your first like networking event. I'm sure as soon as you go to like a couple of them, it's really easy. But I think the problem is, because I'm not even like going to like first one, I'm like, oh, what's it going to be like? Do you know what I mean?
No, I get what you mean.
And I'm such a people person, so it's not even like I'll go there and I'll be like, oh, this is rubbish. Like, I'd have a really good time, but I think I just need to put myself out. Just go.
That's the thing, and I feel like a lot of people that are watching, they might be in the same situation where it's like they've not started going to these events and they're a bit like apprehensive on starting. But I'd just say go for it, and like it is good. I've never met any like joint venture partners at a networking event. However, I've met good friends there. So me and Sean, we met at a networking event, and now we ended up running High Performance Academy together. So I definitely think it's good. It's really good. But how important is it? People say it's all about who you know. Would you agree with that? Or would you say it's been kind of off your own back, putting in the graft and making it happen?
I definitely think it's off your own back in this game. Like, if you come into the SA world, you can either source all your deals and have to pay for all your deals to be sourced, or you can pick up the phone and try source your own deals and find people. But you could do a combination, which we've done a bit of a combination. We've done a couple, we've done 2 deals that were sourced. One that was meant to be managed, which has gone wrong in Liverpool. And I say gone wrong, we're probably going to like part ways. And just because they took too long to start up, there's not been any communication there. We took it on to try what a managed deal would be like, which was probably in hindsight, there's no need. We managed them, so we don't need that. But we've learned. The other source deal that we did take on, we've networked with the landlord and managed to get other deals from her. So I definitely think if you are to put the graft in and find them yourself, which we've done a couple of them, there's a lot more benefits than as if someone wants to source and give it to you, because there's no guarantee they're going to give you more properties. They might just go back to the agent.
So the one that you paid a sourcing fee for, it was supposed to be fully managed by the person that you pay the fee to.
Exactly.
And do you feel like you've not really got what you expected from that deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't feel like we've given the service we deserve.
Paid for,
So first of all, when it was advertised, it was meant to be furnished, fully furnished. They gave us the stock photos of like the model property, model apartment. When we actually got the property and we had that FaceTime, it did not look like the photos that we were advertised. We had to then pay on top of that £2,000 to do all the flooring, but we paid a couple grand for the furniture. So we were like, what's this? We were like, well, what are we going to do? Like, we've signed the contract, we've got the deal. Like, we're just in a position where we're just trying to make them both like most of it. So we paid to get the flooring done. It took 3 months from over November, December, January to then like into February to then be like your listing is live, which only was shared like one listing. Then access to the system was given. When the access was given, the bookings details wasn't like clear when they're coming in, like the price wasn't on, then how much we're getting. Lots of things were just a little bit like vague, and the communication wasn't there from the guy that was meant to be managing like the properties for us, because he had a whole host of lots of properties. He wasn't that bothered. Like, he just had a 2-bed amongst a massive building of other apartments, which he probably ran and had to also manage. And he didn't have the time, the capacity to give us what we wanted.
Yeah. So would you say then, like, I feel like from my experience, sometimes when a deal goes wrong, you've either got 2 options. You've got court case.
Yeah.
You basically take someone to court.
Yeah.
Or you take the L, you keep it moving.
Exactly.
Typically, I'll do this option. Take the L, keep it moving.
Yeah.
And just, carry on with other deals that you're doing. What's your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with you. To go through a court case, because we have looked into that with another sort of avenue of a deal that we went through.
So a different deal?
Yeah, a different deal. In this case, we actually spoke to like legal, got legal advice, and they actually told us to actually get someone to court and to get them to pay out. Normally it's going to cost you more than what you're trying to get from it, and it's not worth your time, energy, stress. 9 out of 10 times it can go on for like years, like these cases. So like you said, I'd rather just take the L and learn and make sure like it does not happen again. And also try and be vocal, like coming on like here today and talking about the experience. Like, maybe this will allow people to also think about their own situations and their own offerings and think twice.
That's it, for sure. So would you recommend for people to find their own rent to SA deals rather than go down the sourcing route where you pay someone a sourcing fee?
Yeah.
Just typically, or?
I definitely think there's deals out there that people can secure themselves. If they don't have the time or the bandwidth, or they're struggling to do it, because it does take some level of skill to be able to build a relationship with someone advertising their property to rent, like a landlord, then sourcing isn't a bad idea, and I wouldn't shut it down. I do definitely think, though, the levels of competition and sourcing now is getting crazy. And you've just got to go to someone that's sourcing a deal that's reliable. Like, there's some people out there that probably aren't that reliable. But there's others out there that are really like reputable, and you could definitely use.
So from the 11 that you've got, would you say the first 5?
Yeah.
Were they all ones that you sourced yourself and your business partner, or?
The first 5, I think maybe one of them was the Liverpool one.
That you paid a sourcing
one
fee.
Was sourced, yeah.
So you sourced 4.
Yeah.
And you paid 1 sourcing fee for someone else to source you the deal.
Yeah, for the first 5.
Okay, cool, for the first 5.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Khadija, what is your top tips for people that want to get into rent to rent? They want to get into rent to SA specifically. What would your top tips be? I
think personally the top like 3-4 tips would be, every time you think about taking on a property, definitely look into how much competition there is in the area, look into where it is in terms of footfall, people coming through the door, coming through the actual city, and make sure the price where you're trying to get the rent at with your landlord is going to be not too high, so your margins are really slim. Because once you take away your cleaning fees, and cleaning fees are going to be a big chunk of what you pay, you have to then think about your commissions that you pay to the channels, and then any charges in the property for any maintenance ongoing. So you want to make sure you secure a deal which is going to benefit you long term and getting as much margin from that net to take away in your pocket. And definitely, if you're going into the SA, don't be fixated on these smaller properties like the 1-beds and the studios and the ones that aren't going to be able to like fit as many people. Because we have like a couple 2 or 3 beds, and we've managed to put in more beds in there. And because you're able to occupy more people, you can charge a lot more per night. So sometimes I think, it's going to cost a lot more to try and secure a bigger house or a bigger property, but it's going to be worth it long run in terms of your margins. So hold on to like waiting till you get like a property that's a bit bigger, I'd say.
Okay. Don't
Yeah.
take on a rent to rent that's a 1 bed, or buy a 1 bed to do SA.
Yeah, I definitely think you should have a portfolio, but if you're starting out, sometimes it really helps if you have that one big property and you then see, okay, this is going to be one that has less bookings, but when you do get those bookings, they're going to be worth a lot more.
You get paid nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully because they're a bit longer, you don't have to pay as many cleaning fees.
Okay, great. What's been your biggest mistake so far?
My biggest mistake was taking on this barn, which everyone at some point might see something that they're like, oh wow, this is going to be like a golden opportunity. So we found like a barn in Hemel Hempstead. It's like the barn itself is valued at probably like $1 million. And the guy that was advertising it through, it was advertised online for an estate agents, and we actually went to see it at like £4,000 a month rent.
Damn. So most people would have looked at that deal and thought,
no, but we thought
most
like,
people
oh,
would
it's
have
a
thought,
barn.
no, like that's too much rent.
That's too much, yeah.
Yeah.
But we thought opportunity, like we can turn it into a beautiful like stay.
Yeah.
It could have a hot tub. It could be like housing people for like Hindus and parties, and be able to accommodate a lot of people because it was a 4-bed.
Yeah.
And it was like a secluded area, so lots of like fields and greenery around it. So we just thought it was beautiful, and we could make it something really special, and charge like £300-400 a night easily. So we secured funding for it, and we actually reached out directly to the landlord. And through speaking to him directly, he was like, "Oh, if you pay 6 months up front, I'll do £3,500." And we were like, "Oh, because we've secured the funding, we can do that, and we're going to save a lot of money, save a couple grand. Like, why not?" So we went into this deal with this guy, and we should have like thought about it a lot more. Like maybe we wasn't at the right place at that time to take that deal on.
Yeah.
Maybe financially, and also where we were at with our business, it was quite premature. Like we should have perhaps, that was something maybe later on down the line. So we put all our eggs into one basket, which you should never do. And then when we moved into the property, there were just loads of things that were going wrong, and the landlord was just awful. So there was like underfloor heating that didn't work. I remember one day sleeping in a coat because it was that cold. The barn had like a manhole outside that wasn't covered. The washing machine wasn't linked up, which he told us about. Went to cook one day, and the oven, the fuse underneath, like to actually ignite the oven, wasn't like fused together. There were just so many issues, and it wasn't rentable. And we took so long to get it ready and have issues with the landlord to do his part that we tried to pull out the deal, had a verbal agreement with the landlord, and through having that verbal agreement of him meant to give us back, let's say 15 grand, a whole chunk of money, that's when we went down like the legal route and tried to find out what's in our right that we can claim back, not claim back. Had big hoo-ha. He got us out of the property. He got someone else in. We were threatened to go back in because we'd paid the 6 months. We forced our way back in because we were like, we're not going to pay we should be in that property. We paid the 6 months. You're not returned our money. You put someone else in there. Like this guy was full on, and he was a millionaire. Like he's a property developer, and he had like communities of properties everywhere. So in the end, we got our money like back, but not even 15. It was like 11 or 10. And through getting that money back, it was because we told him we're going to go back in there again when he had someone else in there, an NHS patient. And every time he would just make up lies. Like this guy was full of lies. Like, yeah.
So would you just say, like, going back to that then, the biggest mistake, would you say, was the due diligence side, maybe rushing into a deal?
100.
What would you say?
Yeah, so I think a bit of everything, like due diligence side. If we had even like found out a bit more about him, like even the estate agent said, oh, he's not really, like, he doesn't really follow the book, you know, he's a bit of a, we should have thought why, like what's wrong with him. But having been friends with the neighbour who bought a barn off him, she like told us a lot of stuff about him, and had we spoken to her sooner, we would have known what type of person he is, and what he's like done or has like done to others. So due diligence is really important, but a lot of things you can't preempt. Like there was no chance we would have spoke to the that lady next door before taking on this deal. So sometimes it's just the way it is.
But I just feel like with property, it's a very forgiving asset class, and like I feel you learn so much through the mistakes. Like my biggest lessons I've learned have all been through when I've fucked up and I've done something majorly wrong. I've did a deal that maybe went wrong. And you just learn, don't you, from all the different deals? And then it's that builds on your wealth of knowledge. So you know now when you're going into another deal, right, cool, I'm not going to make that mistake, or that mistake.
Exactly. And also, like, say we did take on the deal, but we said we want to come in, make sure everything's working as it should be. We should have tested everything out, realised it's all 100%, and or he would have had the urgency to get it done because we would have handed the money over after doing all these checks. Being like, we want to take it, we just want to do one last check. Next time we take on a deal that big, like, everything should be checked. Like, you should have a little checklist when you go to a property of what's working. Otherwise, later on down the line, it's you that's got to fork out that money. And it could be other things. It could be a leak. There's so many SA operators out there that have probably come across so many issues. And we're not alone in this. Everyone does it. So due diligence is key.
So I had a question for you, right? So say I've got some funds right now. Let's just say I had about 45 grand.
Okay.
I wanted to buy an SA. What would you say I should be buying? Because I'm in that situation now. Got a small portion of cash that I want to put towards the SA.
Yeah.
I've been looking. I found some 2 beds in Nottingham for about 120, 130k. So our monthly payment will be around £550, £600.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less. But they're like 2-bed apartments. Or I can buy a house, but it's a little bit further out from the city centre. Run that as a SA. What would you say? What would your tips be for me?
Did you say buy? Yeah. So personally, if I had that 40k, what I would do is first, like, not just get one deal, but get multiple deals. And it doesn't have to be in Nottingham. If that's all Nottingham's offering you, look at other cities. Like, this can all be done remotely. And we're trying to do it remotely from various parts of like the country. So it definitely can be done. So look at other cities that have like high footfall, sort of has that base already of people that are coming to stay, and also maybe even contractors or people that go into the city to work, and then see what's available in terms of what is being sourced or what you can find available, and reach out to those landlords and find like a couple of deals that are just like maybe a couple 3-beds houses, maybe even a couple like 2 beds as well. So have a mixture in your portfolio and trying to make sure when you get these deals, they're as close to market so you don't have to do as much work. Because that costs you like a lot of money to get it ready, and then time,
but
which takes ages.
But with that 40k or 45k,
you can get a lot of deals with that.
Do you mean rent to rents though? Because I'm not really looking to do that. I was more wanting to buy something. So it's one of my JV partners who had a pool of cash. We've used like a certain amount of it, and that's what we've got left. So it's not enough to do a HMO, but it's enough to maybe buy an SA.
I see.
So or a single let. So we're exploring options now, but I would like to do an SA. But I just need to know that it's gonna work, and that's the hard thing. It's like I'm thinking to have plan A and B. Plan A could be we do it as an SA. Plan B is if that fails, then we just pivot and we just get a normal family in there. Or
you do, I definitely think go for SA first. Even if you run it as an SA, and then later on down the line, it's not working, you're not getting bookings or something comes up and it's wrong. When you come to market that to rent it, because it's fully furnished, there'll always be someone out there that will pay a lot more.
That's it,
so you're going to get the higher mark. So I definitely think we had it with our one in Leeds. We got to a point where we couldn't do an SA anymore, but because it was fully furnished, ready to go, through a lot of advertising and a little bit of patience, I'd say about 3.5 weeks, managed to get someone that was paying what we'd say was above market rate of like plus 200-300 or two around that mark. Good. Which a month, that is still great. Like you wouldn't have got anything otherwise if it was empty. So getting it to the SA standard and it doesn't work isn't always a bad thing. You will still get something, and it's better than nothing. Yeah,
because like that same house, the monthly payment's like say £600 now. But on the old interest rates, it would have been like £300. So it's much easier to make the markup. But because bills are going up as well, I just have to be, because I'm very cautious with my deals. I'm very, very cautious. So like, I just want to make sure I just do the right move. So
no, I do hear you. I definitely think you should try run it as a. Also, don't be worried that because it hasn't worked with another place in Nottingham that this one won't work.
Okay, I
definitely think that there's potential.
Because the SA I've got now in Notts is doing well, but I think it's because it's summer. Because at the start of the year, it was really weird, this SA, because when we first got it, it was killing it. Like we was making like 2.5 grand net profit a month consistently for a few months, and then it just went
down.
And that's the side I don't like about SA, but the upsides are massive. So when it comes to your deals, what is like one of your best deals? Can you tell us about it? Can you give us overline numbers?
Yeah, of course. So one of them we've got in Stratford Road in Birmingham. It's basically a 3-bed like flat, and the thing is, the rent we're paying on it is really good, but soon it won't be good because he's putting it up because his mortgage rate's gone up. So, and he wants to put it up by like a good £200. So it's definitely some stuff you have to consider is when they want like rent increases. But let's say it's 1,100 rent, which is what we pay. Let's say overall in revenue for the bookings, it's like £3,000. You've got that 1,100, and then we've got all the bills that come out. Let's say that's 400 because council tax alone is 100. Then you've got electricity, you've got internet, everything, like all of that can easily amount to like 400. So 1,500 there, which has gone on just the rent and then the bills, and then you've got all the commissions from the channels, which is 15% of what you're making. So there you're looking at like, let's say another. And then you've got charges as well for any like bank like payment charges. So let's say £500 in fees. So that's £2,000 gone just on bills, rent, and then fees that the channels just eat up. And then on top of that, you've got your cleaning fees. So your cleaning fees are easily like, for that place, they charge us £120 every time they clean. So imagine someone comes to stay for just one night and you want to charge 150. It's just not feasible. You can't. So you have to really make it work, factor everything, and it's so important. So every time we get clean, it's £120. That includes all the linen change and all the towel change. So it's a lot of money, but it's a free bed, so there's a lot of room for them to clean, and then they have to change everything over. So after all those fees, like let's say we're left with on a very good month, like then you've got to take into account any goodwill should give away to guests because they're complaining on X, Y, and Z or something that breaks down, and you've got to get someone else to fix. So in a good month, we could take away maybe like 700 on a really good month, and then on a really bad month, you could be taking away like £300, 200. So it can vary.
Yeah, but I just feel like even though those numbers in itself, that's close to a lot of people's salary, £700 a month. £300 a month is still good because you've got it hands off.
Yeah.
If you was there running around all day visiting the property, going there like, twice, 3 times a week, that's not the case though, is it, with your ones?
No.
You're a lot more hands off.
Yeah.
Systemized. So Khadija, what is your drive? Where does it come from? Like, what's your ambition? What keeps you going?
I think I just want to be like financially free. Like my entire life, I've been like, I'm really bad with money. Like as soon as I've had money from a very young age, like it's all gone. Like every single time, like I have like payments from like work and whatever, it's just all gone. That I don't really have like anything to show for it. And I think I want to get to a point, and it's a long way away, where I'm so financially free that I don't have to think about paying for anything because I have that financial freedom. But also like my mentality's changed quite a lot, like from growing up as well, being around certain people. Like my business partners had a big impact in this. It's about being like, everything is possible. Like we went from not thinking we could even start up a business to starting one up, and it's actually doing well. We've got like obviously hiccups and stuff along the way, but then wanting to like do more, like you could so easily then factor in like other parts of the business which you can also open up or grow. So my drive and ambition comes from wanting to be financially free. And
do you work full time as well as this?
Yeah, I've got like a 40-hour week job on top of this. So
how do you do it all?
It is quite difficult. Luckily, like I obviously have support from like my partner to be able to do all like the physical and the like manual stuff, but also it's about just using all times available to do it. So whether that's weekends, evenings, taking time off work to be able to fit in everything that you need to do. And the main business period is actually like listing, like getting a listing ready. So those days where you spend on getting the property ready are going to be like the high stress days where you put like 100 things to do in one day. But once that's up and running, a lot of the other stuff is in bits, so it's manageable. So
once it's up and running, cash flowing, then it can be systemized and you can step back. So at the start, that's when you're putting in the graft, the hard work bit, but then you can kind of pull back a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So what's your goal? Is like a number on how many you want to get? Or
well, I'd like to get to like a point where we've got like either like 20 to 25.
Okay.
That is the goal. It's quite ambitious, but at the same time, would like to try and start up this cleaning side of the business. Yeah. Because we see a lot of opportunity there.
Okay. And what's your like long-term goals?
Long-term goals is this has changed from what I used to have like before, but I'd like to be able to get to a point where I've got like a couple I say small businesses that are like running, and I get to like manage and be part of it and just oversee it.
Okay.
So I definitely like to go into like other fields later on down the line.
So are you looking to step away from your job and go property full time at some point, or what's your
Yeah,
kind of
I want to step away from the job and focus on like property and also being inside of it and maybe other avenues that open up. But it's really important to like not lose focus on that one area, because otherwise if you don't grow it and you keep looking at something else, it's not going to be a success.
That's the thing. Like a lot of people, they just sidetrack from what their main
see
goal
something
is.
else.
Yeah. And it's like the shiny penny syndrome, where they just want to, they've got their goal, but something comes along and they just change and divert route, but they'll never get to the high point of success what they want.
Yeah, and you can get bored. It's quite easy to be like, oh, same old, same old.
It's mundane,
been 2
it
years
definitely,
now. Yeah. So you
because motivation's going to come and go.
Yeah.
But that's when the discipline comes in and you can just keep showing up, which
Definitely.
clearly you've been doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's obviously different every time. Guests keep you on your feet.
So,
Issues keep you on your feet.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, but it's also like there's parts of it that's a bit like, oh, I don't want to do this task. This is going to be long. This is going to be like draining.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So,
So how can people get in contact with you, Khadija? What's the best way?
Definitely just message me on Instagram at Palmsy Properties, or WhatsApp me. Like calls are fine.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it would be good to like go to more networking events and encourage other people that are thinking about it to also go.
Yeah, wicked. So I'm going to put Khadija's Instagram on the screen right here. You can contact her there, and anyone that's interested in working with Khadija, definitely reach out, because she's doing some big things in the rent-to-rent space. So Khadija, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you all very soon.